Birds asleep amidst the trees. Bats all are swaying in the breeze. But one so light anxious, wide awake, fearing all manner of ghouls, hags and wraiths. For your dolly Polly sleep has flown, don't dare let her tremble alone. For the witcher, heartless cold, paid in coin of gold, he comes, he'll go, leave naught behind but heartache and woe. Deep, deep woe. It's all silent more than night. House turned in as daylight dies. But when so light anxious, wide awake, fearing all manner of ghouls, hags and wraiths, my dear Dolly.
Hi everyone, and welcome to the Haunted Connection show. So we are doing the Haunted Connection show tonight, as we're swapping it over with the live discussion show tomorrow. So our lovely guest Tom Warrington can be with us tonight. So a big welcome, Tom. We are bringing this to you from the Haunted Antiques Paranormal Research Centre in Hinckley, Leicester, and of course we're sponsored by Sims Vintage Antiques in Walton Warren near Stratford. So a big welcome to everybody, and welcome to Tom. Tom's been on our show before, but it's been quite a while, hasn't it, Tom? So it's great that you can join us for a catch-up.
Yeah, it's been too long, hasn't it? I think I mentioned it prior to going live. It's been hell of a long time. It seems even longer with this 2020 year.
There's the dreaded Zozo year.
Yeah. That's one way of putting it, Neil.
Have you not heard that expression on Facebook? Because 2020 looks a bit like Zozo.
Ah, right. Okay.
Right.
There you go.
There you go. So it's the demonic year.
The demonic year.
Well, so Tom, what have you been up to lately?
Well, it would have been filled with lots and lots of conventions this year, but unfortunately, due to COVID, a lot of them were cancelled. Did manage to squeeze one in at the Church Farm Museum, Skegness. That went ahead. But completing the book, getting the book out there, that was released late November now. So that's available on Amazon now, which has been a big weight lifted off my shoulders, really, because it's, as you probably know, it's hard work writing a book, and more so getting it out there as well. So that's predominantly kind of wrapped my 2020 up, as it were.
Yeah, I must admit, the first lockdown helped me with my book.
Yeah.
Because it gave me all that free time. It was either finish my book off or do the garden.
Wow. That's a difficult one to do, isn't it? I mean, you know.
So my excuse for Julie says, I've got to get this book finished, Julie. I can't come out to do the lawn. I can't do this painting today.
That echoes what my scenario was at home. I can't do the dishes tonight. I'm doing another chapter, you know. But that went on, and that kind of wore a bit thin towards the end. But I have no excuses now, so it's all done and out there.
Yeah, but you can start your next one.
I've already started it. It's already in the process. Yeah. I mean, they were both kind of fused together, really, somewhat. So I had to really kind of detract a lot of points and avenues that I wanted to go with the first book, really. But yeah, hopefully by mid next year, the second one shall be out to buy.
Oh, that'd be good. Yeah. And I bet you've got a copy of your book on your desk, have you?
Well, there's a funny story to this because, well, people are probably sick of listening to me at the minute. But anyway, when the book got released, I started to get a lot of messages, lovely comments, by the way, from people, great support from my local people as well. And happy snapping away with their copies of my book, which is great. Great to see everyone's different table designs and settees at one point. There you go. But anyway, I've not actually got a copy. All the copy I have is actually not for resale purposes. It's actually the author's proof copy. I don't know if you can see that. It's I can't sell it. So technically, I don't have a copy. This is the proofreading copy, and that's the only thing I have at the minute. But so I got loads of messages from people saying how brilliant the book is, fantastic, and that they had a copy, and I didn't even have one myself. So I was rather frustrated. But there you go. Thanks,
it just
Amazon.
sometimes helps if people are looking for your book, if they actually see it and they see what they're looking for. People are looking for the book on Amazon, and then it does sometimes helps if they've actually seen what it looks like.
There you go.
There you go. Brilliant.
So, and of course, your mate Barry's released a book as well this year.
Yeah, well, he did his ages ago now. I think we both spoke at a convention. Oh, God, I can't remember the month. It's been a whirlwind this year. But yeah, he actually released Restless Realm, I think, around the time of the convention. And his book's fantastic. It's a truthful account of a modern day investigator. And people who know me and Barry, we're quite alike with our ideology and how we like to investigate with very old school techniques. Not a lot of equipment, but fundamentally, I did start off with loads of equipment, as you do, because you see it like on the telly, you see what others are doing on the films, and subconsciously that's the way you believe you should be doing it. But then further through time, through research, I pulled myself right back from that, started all again, and predominantly looked at things that I class as a ghost factor. I speak a lot about this in the book, and I did in the talk as well at Parafest. Now, I believe there are a number of key fundamental factors to help that ghost hypothesis happen, manifestation. And temperature has predominantly historically been a fundamental part in hauntings. So my investigation is directed mainly on temperature, because scientifically temperature readings are a tangible bit of evidence. We can measure that. We can measure increases, drops, average temperatures throughout the location. So for me, that's been a big important factor for when I investigate cases. I went off on a tangent there. I do apologise.
No, it's fine.
We always go off on a tangent.
It's the best way. I think it's the best way.
Especially on the discussion show, because Monday nights are normally a discussion, and we pick a subject, and that subject lasts about 10 minutes, and then we're talking about anything else that comes into our heads.
Yeah, it's the best.
Or anything else people suggest. And of course, you are taking part in the virtual Parameet in December with us, aren't you?
I am. I'm really excited because, like I say, all these conventions have now cancelled. And the one thing that COVID's been awful in many aspects, but especially for the event side of things. I mean, your research centre as well has suffered, as a lot of teams, companies, investigators. It's crippled everyone, But the one thing that has come about this, which I found fascinating, is all these online webinars, conventions that people could jump on and partake in. And the one coming up that, I'm involved in, there's so many fantastic, great speakers, which I'm going to actually, hopefully watch as many as I can, because I think to further people's knowledge in the field, it is about sharing ideas, isn't it? And as a community, we need to do a bit more of that. So I think these kind of online conventions are a fantastic way to give people an insight to specific people's kind of avenues and what they're trying to attain in life. So predominantly for me, I'm looking for the truth, really. That is all I'm there for investigating for. I'm just seeking the truth. And there's some fantastic speakers coming up on that convention. So I'm really looking forward to that. Yeah.
So, and I'm prepared, look, I've got the actual schedule in front of me.
Oh, wow. Oh, well, that's good.
Tom is actually with us on Wednesday, the 30th December, between 7 and 8. So look forward.
I did write that down then.
You did write it.
That's good. I've got my pen and paper ready, like.
So yeah, so the most important thing about this Parameet to me, obviously, it was going to be an event where people came to. But obviously COVID put a stop to that, and that's why we're doing it virtually the last week of the year. Right. So it'd be a nice end of the year. Yeah. But we've not invited all the usual speakers, if you know what I mean. Okay. So we're inviting the smaller teams because they work incredibly hard.
Yeah.
Without a lot of acknowledgement. So quite a few of these nights are for the smaller teams. I think that was important for them to get there, because a lot of them talk a lot of sense. Well, they all do. Who's going to be part of the Parameet? So I thought it's important to get them involved as well, and they're all looking forward to it. Some are quite nervous because they've never done anything like this before. I said, well, don't worry. If you want me and Jane on the screen with you, we'll be with you.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's going to be
interesting.
It's going to be a really good 6 days.
Wow.
It's going to be a bit of a killer.
That's brilliant. Wow. It is for you two. Not for us speakers. We could just pop on and then go off again, you know.
It is for me, because I've had to go and get myself a job, so I'm going to do a 12-hour shift, then come back and do this online thing.
Oh, wow.
Only temporary. until we can get back open. Okay, let's put some comments up. You must know this guy. Andy. Hey,
Andy. Tom, hello, Andy. Yes, I know Andy quite well. Local lad to me. Good to see a fella yellow belly on here.
This is from Amy, who you know well, Tom, I think. Yes. Neil, get top confessions. Okay.
Oh God, this sounds a bit.
Do you not know about Amy and Jane's show?
I do, and I think unfortunately, it's on a Tuesday where I do my show. I think, is that right? They do it on a Tuesday night.
They do it monthly. It's the first Tuesday, but you can send it in.
Right. Okay, I didn't know that. Right.
Yeah, you don't have to join them.
Ah, right. Well, that's a game changer now. Then.
Yeah.
Just send us all the saucy confessions, and then we'll just share it with everybody else.
Right. I could write a book on confessions. Really.
I can just see Amy's face now.
Oh yeah, I bet it's all lit up, isn't it? Rubbing her hands like that. Yeah. Oh, there's so many.
Yeah. So send Amy some confessions.
All right. Okay.
The more ridiculous, the better.
Yeah, I've got some good ones.
And they do like rude ones because it's Amy and Jane.
Oh.
So if it's about bodily functions, they're well away.
Yeah. Okay. Oh God. Oh wow. Okay.
We've had some corkers.
I bet you have.
I think you've got 2 regular people who send in regular stories, haven't you? Neil and
there's a couple of people who are major contributors.
and
makes me wonder why they're still alive.
Oh God.
And if you got any funny ones from mates, send them in all.
Oh wow.
Yeah, we're not fussy.
Okay.
They'll have anything. So we're deviating again. You see what it's like?
That's all right. No, wherever it goes.
let's see if any. Oh, here's from Amy. 9 p.m. start. Get on it like a carb on it.
Carb on it. Okay, there. Yeah.
Oh God, he's doing the thumb wave. Okay, then I'm gonna put this question up to you because I've been asked it in the chat.
Right.
I know what your answer is.
Yeah.
What do you think of him?
Well,
I could have had a bet. I could have had a bet on your reaction to that question.
I tell you what, though, I know in the past I have kind of scorned the MH a bit, but looking back at it though, when it first originally aired, it was a bit of a monumental broadcast because it brought that interest of ghost hunting, the paranormal, call it what you will, to the masses, didn't it? So it's a bit of a double-edged sword. And yes, down the way, they lost their kind of main purpose, I think. And look, it is for entertainment purposes only, and I think people have a misconception of that. But again, I started off with a small group from Nottingham, and we found it really difficult to gain access to locations, especially when Most Haunted visited. I did a ghost hunt at Lincoln Castle, where it's got the old Victorian prison about, 7 or 8 years ago. Now, Most Haunted did a episode there about a month or two prior, and you saw the price of the venue literally treble overnight. And I think a lot of small teams as well, it's really hard to gain access to these. I mean, places like the Galleries of Justice as well, I think are massively overpriced. But, you know, I think Most Haunted, it was a double-edged sword. It brought a lot of information to the masses, for the public, and more awareness of the paranormal. But on the flip side, it did have a bit of damaging effect to a lot of the smaller groups up and down the UK. But there you go.
Yeah, I agree. When it started, it was brilliant.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know you can go into haunted places.
Exactly.
Before that started.
Exactly. Yeah.
And if you ask most people today who are doing ghost hunts or whatever you want to call them, they started off watching Most Haunted.
Yeah.
I think
exactly.
A lot of them.
And do you know what? I think Most Haunted is the reason why a lot of groups and teams out there follow the same process when investigating or conducting a public event, because that's what they saw first, you know. And I think now we've got to a point where I think we need to be thinking outside the box. I think we need to bring in new ideas to investigating. This is why me and Barry kind of champion the fact of going back to basics, using compasses, you know, things like that, you know, to get us away from that kind of technological kind of forefront that we're finding nowadays. I mean, everybody's staring at a phone, you know, and to do that on an investigation, you're kind of limiting yourself and awareness to what's around you. You know, I mean, we should use ourselves as that main tool, as it were, and use all this and, you know, and pen and paper, just simple basics that we're not doing anymore.
Yeah. Let's put some more comments up. Jackie said people don't realise it's for entertainment.
Yeah.
I think one of the things with Most Haunted as well, the more they delivered, the more they were expected to deliver. And then you're just on this runaway train where you just, you know, you're no longer in a position where you can actually then just say, well, we'll do an investigation. And actually nothing happened and there was nothing here. You know, you would never hear that from them. So I just think they were a victim of their own success, really.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, let's put Biff's comment up. Biff says, we're watching Most Haunted from the start. First 3 series almost seemed quite genuine, quite refreshing, when in one summary on one episode, they said they found hardly anything.
Yeah, there you go.
That's how it started, though, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I suppose a lot of people out there as well have kind of lost their way a little bit, got caught up in this kind of whole social media kind of thing as well. You know, we're all in it. We're all in this together. We're all trying to seek the truth, aren't we? Well, most of us are anyway. But I think some people need to, you know, take a step back and question where they're going with it. What is their aim? You know. But again, most wanted. Yeah, it was. I'm sure they started off with genuine intentions, and it's just snowballed out of control now.
Yeah. So we'll get on about intent now, then, shall we, Tom? About why do people do these investigations? I won't say paranormal investigations because they're not investigating the paranormal. The paranormal is huge.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
If you're just investigating ghosts, you're not investigating the paranormal. You're investigating a tiny section of it.
Exactly. Yeah.
So when people do it to make money, or to do it to make stars or shares or likes.
Yeah.
I'm not saying anyone's name because you know who I'm on about. What do you think of that then?
I mean, I talk about this in my book, and it's one of the last chapters because I felt that I needed to kind of address a few things. Everybody has, I think, genuinely looking back at it now, has that same purpose, intention, belief as anyone starts off in this journey, you know. And I think it's all to do with social media. I think social media has a lot to answer for. It's created these monsters that we see day in, day out, you know, trying to climb that ego ladder. I mean, I watched a live group the other day, and they must have said, please send us stars and share our page and like us about 15 times in the opening 30 seconds of the video. And that to me is, I think they've lost their purpose, but they're probably seeing it from an out perception of what other people are doing as well. It's a very popular kind of thing. These live investigations, they have their positives to it. You know, it brings investigating ghost hunts to people who probably can't afford to go out on an event, or who are not, or are predominantly disabled and they can't access certain locations. So again, it has its positives, but on the flip side, it's creating these people that seem to think they are, well, they think they're famous, I suppose. I mean, it all brings their little community, their fans who are untouchable. And again, you know, questioning things. I mean, that you can't do that on social media, you know, as well as I do, you two. You can't question things anymore without people kind of either taking it the wrong way or just being downright rude and just totally ripping it up and throwing it over the shoulder. You know, it's where's all the kind of debate gone as well in the paranormal? It's just so weird.
I think a few of these groups, they're like cults. We've come across it. We've felt the wrath of one in particular. I'm not saying the name because they don't warrant even having the name mentioned. We've felt the wrath of one group, and we had so many people attacking us, didn't we, Jane? Over a picture, over a joke picture. Perhaps you can remember it, Tom. It was a joke picture of a skeleton holding a book.
I don't recall it. But so what was the kind of purpose of them, whoever it was attacking you for that? What was the main achievement for that?
I don't know.
The original joke was just about the skeleton just sort of being up there, and we thought we'd put a book in his hand, and we put the nearest book that we had in his hand, and it was just a joke as such. But people saw the front cover of the book, and that's when it all then went sort of bit wrong, really.
I missed this. Damn.
Oh, you can guess who we're on about, Tom.
Yeah.
But we were getting negative reviews on the site about the centre and all sorts. Wow. And you think, you've never been. How can you leave a review if you've not been?
Wow.
If you come to the centre and don't like it, fair comment. You can have your say.
Mm-hmm.
But if you've never been, to me, you can't have your say. But anyway, we'll move on.
Yeah.
There's lots of comments about MH.
Oh, right. Okay.
But we'll skip most of them. Sarah says, I went to a couple of Most Haunted live shows. It was definitely staged, but we already know that.
All right. Well, again, like I think a lot of people as well who kind of attend ghost hunt events. It's a bit like an interactive scary movie, isn't it? And I think people who it can be, can't it? I mean, there are groups and events that I've been on have been fantastically knowledgeable with what they're doing. They explain the pieces of equipment to the guests. And I've been on to some real horror events as well, where I've had ones where they've actually left the guests to their own devices, where people haven't even been to an event before. And I think Barry had that same experience where I think he began to lead the event, you know, and he was one of the guests. Again, it's such a different, wide spectrum with regards to events. But I'm intrigued of these Most Haunted lives. I've heard a lot of interesting views on it. I really have.
Okay, here's a comment from Karen. Hey, I like this being on YouTube. It means I can comment. Don't do Facebook. Loving the show. Thank you, Karen.
Okay. There you go. Hi, Karen.
Because our shows go onto Facebook, Twitter, and our YouTube channel simultaneously.
Ah, okay. So, oh, that's good. Yeah. Yeah. Glamorization. I like that. I like that word.
That's a good word, isn't it?
That's a great word.
He's a man with words, anti-opinionated. You do realise, like we're going to nick these words because everyone copies everybody. Comment from Von. Some are like beggars. They think they can do what they like, where they like. Think the law is above them. Ignorant and arrogant.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think with all this kind of COVID happening, we've really seen people's true colours.
Yeah.
In the paranormal community, haven't we? You know, and that to me, if I was following them, I'd be thinking, why are you doing this? You know, this is totally wrong, immorally wrong. You know, it's just there's no ethical thought to some of them either. It's just totally odd. But then they have thousands of followers. So yeah. Jacqueline, sheepless. That's some great words. That's some great words. Sheeples.
Okay. I think this is Amy. I watched a live feed where a lady called someone an up-and-coming investigation. How do you become an up-and-coming investigator?
That's a very good point. Yeah. There's no... When people say there's no kind of experts in the field, there are experts in their particular fields, whether it be psychology, I don't know, something to do with electricity. So there are certain elements that you can be an expert of, but there are no expert paranormal investigators. It's just a, you know, it really grates me to hear that as well.
Well, they can't be an expert. They can't be an expert in a field that's not been proven anyway, can they?
Exactly.
No,
it just makes them look silly.
Yeah, you know, people have been investigating ghosts for hundreds of years, and there's no proof.
No, exactly.
Okay. Another comment from William. Do you think there's too much money involved?
Well, again, you know, if you go down the Most Haunted road and you get a TV slot, then I mean, money is the root of all evil, I believe, you know, in any sort of walk of life. But I mean, I don't think there's a lot of money in the paranormal. I mean, unless you have a big ghost hunting company or you own a location and you're renting it out every day to everybody. But if you're an investigator researcher like me, you know, I mean, I'm not doing it for the money. Crikey, I have a full-time job. You know, I have a mortgage to pay and 2 hungry kids every day. You know, so it's definitely a field not to make money in. Definitely not.
definitely not. And if you're doing it to make money, you're doing it for the wrong reason.
Oh yeah.
Anne says, less than a year later, some of their followers came to us as they'd had enough.
Ah, right.
Yes,
so that's
did.
Interesting. Right. Well, then obviously,
when Anne say us, she means the centre.
Ah, right.
Anne's one of our hags.
Okay. So then probably people are getting slightly fed up with their showmanship and, downright farcicals,
Yeah. Okay. Here's a question for you, Tom. What was the best place you've investigated?
Oh, it's a great question, and I answered this on another show. I mean, I've got several, I must admit, but Nottingham Town Hall near Leeds, that was probably one of my first places I went to. There's the Stonebow Guild Hall in Lincoln, where I and my colleague was the first to go there. We held an event there for the public, and the Mayor of Lincoln attended as well to that event. So that was a very odd place, and a great location. So Nottingham for me, and Stonebow Guild Hall in Lincoln.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for your question.
Okay, Colette says, I went on an investigation with Most Haunted. It was at St George's Hall in Liverpool. I have been there before, and let me say, I caught a certain person cheating.
Which one?
You pick.
Well, you got a choice there, haven't you? But I can imagine who. Yeah.
Okay, you got a question for Tom, Jane?
Yeah, I was just going to go back to the old school stuff. Yeah. And I wanted to ask Tom about changing to sort of more old school. Do you find that sort of the quality is better than sort of quantity? When you've got your gadgets and everything in you, people are like, oh, there's something over there, something over there, something over there. Let's do this, let's do that. Whereas with the old school, you've really got to sit, haven't you, and listen.
Yeah, exactly.
And really rely on your own senses. But what you do get, well, I find, tends to be more quality rather than quantity.
Definitely. And I think the thing that gets me with all these gadgets is, what is it actually telling us? What is that actually measuring? What are we actually looking at here? I mean, the REM pods, that go off and stuff like that. There's a lot of electrical devices and environmental changes that can affect that device, because we've done experiments on them. But with the old school stuff, it is like you say, it is you. I mean, I always take a pen and paper with me, and I'm scribbling stuff down. Time stamping things is very important as well. Because when you're referring to your notes or your footage further on down the line, that footage is no good if you've not got the correct time and date in that corner. Because how the hell can you look at something and present it in an evidential state in front of a panel or whatever? I mean, it just gets thrown out the window. And I think patience as well. There's a lot of impatient investigators out there, and I've seen that on events as well, where nothing will happen, and you guys know as well as I do, the ghost phenomenon is very spontaneous in itself. So you can't expect these things to happen at a drop in a hat. It's very spontaneous, very erratic, and it doesn't always happen. But that is the nature of the beast, isn't it? You've got to be so patient. I think that's a very fundamental thing to have, patience.
Yeah. Okay, here's a comment for you, Tom. William says,
I'll let you pronounce that, Neil.
I didn't read that out, so that's why I got a clue what that says.
I'm not
Can
very
you
good
say hi to, is it Janen? Tom Warrington, please.
Hi, Jayan. I think, are we pronouncing that correctly?
Just say hi.
Hello. I always like to try and yeah.
I'll read this. I can read all these words. William says the mind is more important than technology.
Absolutely. And I when I finished the book as well, included something about the psychological aspect of when people see or witness an apparition. Now, does that human factor have to be there to experience this ghost phenomena, or can a ghost haunt a place when the human element isn't there? It's always been a thing for me, but I think the human mind has to play a big catalyst when observing or witnessing a ghost.
Yeah. Okay. William's told us how to pronounce this now.
Oh, go on.
And you'll be shocked. I think it must be the phone messing up. Sherman.
Okay, that's not what he said before, was it? No, I don't think it was. That's a bit different to Sherman. William's probably like me on the phone. I like that.
Okay. This is a comment on YouTube.
Right.
Biff says, when asked, most people say they want to investigate sites in America or say here, the Tower of London. So excluding this country or North America, where would Tom like to investigate?
Alcatraz.
That's in America, Tom.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, it is. I know that. Because somebody asked me this the other day as well, and I mean,
not in America, not in Britain, not in America.
It's difficult. I mean,
you've stumped him.
Yeah, I've never been kind of single to certain places, really. I tell you what would be pretty cool. I mean, there's a lot of battlefields that I'd like to visit. Some of them are in America. But the catacombs under Paris, Bran Castle in Romania.
Yeah,
I actually looked at. We're looking at hiring it for my 40th. Bran Castle, because they're actually letting you do private hires where a lot of people can stay overnight and they put on a big banquet. I mean, how cool would that be to stay over?
That'd be fantastic.
And tell you what, just to go the surrounding woods where Vlad the Impaler impaled all those people in the woods as well would be very atmospheric place indeed to visit. So Bran Castle definitely on there.
Yeah. You've also got the Huaybachu Forest, haven't you?
Yeah.
Not far away.
Yeah.
I wouldn't fancy walking it. I wouldn't fancy walking it, but it's not far away. I'd like to go to the Mayan cities.
Oh yeah,
and the Aztec cities. So I think that'd be quite interesting.
Very.
William says Sherman likes shenanigans.
Sherman likes shenanigans. Oh dear.
And then he says Dracula. That's Bran Castle.
Yeah.
Okay then. Sarah says, have you ever investigated Edinburgh vaults, Tom?
No, and funnily enough, I got asked this as well. Another place that I keep meaning to visit, and it's Blackfriars Graveyard as well.
Yeah,
which is home to the Mother.
Is it Greyfriars?
Greyfriars, yeah. Is that where Mackenzie Poltergeist resides in a tomb there? That would be a special place because people are still claiming to be physically attacked on the tours, which I find quite fascinating. People fainting, passing out, really bad scratches. I actually interviewed a guy who does one of the tours there at the cemetery, and he said that he's a bit skeptical about it all, but he's actually witnessed people who have been attacked, and some of the pictures where you can see the scratch marks are quite deep indentation, so that would be pretty cool to investigate on your own. I'd be up for that. If anyone knows of anyone that can let me in.
Yeah. We actually did Edinburgh Vault, didn't we?
We did,
So we actually did Edinburgh Vault, and a couple of us actually just went up on the train, did the weekend and came back again. Some mad people actually drove up for 6 hours, did the investigation, then drove back again for 6 hours.
Wow.
to say I was a little bit tired and mardy.
Oh my goodness me. That's incredible.
It's a flipping long way.
Wow. Yeah.
And plus, I had some mental man in the back, didn't shut up all the way. I won't say his name either. Sarah says Prague would be a good place to investigate.
That's a good shout, Sarah.
There's a lot of places in Europe, isn't there? Because Europe has got as much history as we have. You know, with the battlefields and the castles and the old cities.
Definitely, yeah.
William says you want to come to Glastonbury, the most spiritual place in the country.
Yeah, that's again is a place on my bucket list. Really, it's
festival.
yeah, that as well.
Okay,
it's a difficult place. That
Chris says, where would you say the best place you investigated and why? I know you said it before, but obviously Chris missed that. So say it again, Tom.
Yeah. So the best place. Well, actually, these are two kind of separate kind of questions because I mentioned Nottingham Town Hall. Well, that was a public event, so not really investigation. But an investigation for me was a private case in Aby in Lincolnshire, which is mentioned in the book as well, where I caught something that I still have not been able to explain, nor has others. It's a very interesting piece of footage that I have that I caught at a very old cottage there in Aby, tiny little hamlet village there in Lincolnshire, where the family actually went through quite an extensive period of apparent phenomena, ranging through a number of different things, things disappearing, the children seeing apparitions at the stairs, smells. They had a lot, and we had the chance and opportunity to meet the family and go around there, and we actually collated quite a number of extensive hours there, days, and didn't really catch anything. And then on day 3, I managed to catch something up in the upstairs playroom. Which I'm not going to tell you what happened because you'll have to read the book.
That's a good plug.
There you go.
Okay, then. Now you mentioned this home investigation.
Yes.
Jane and I have talked about this long time for hours and hours. What do you think to these teams that just go into people's homes and come out with all this craziness? Like it's definitely a demonic haunt. There's a lot of responsibility, isn't there?
It is a huge amount of responsibility. And I've actually over the years turned private cases down because you have to be it's a very dangerous situation that you can find yourself in, especially when there's children involved or people with disabilities. You could find yourself in a lot of bother. And you have to kind of weigh it all up. The ethical ways as well, you know, it's a very dangerous situation. But these groups and teams that go in there, you know, chucking a load of sage around, saying yes, you've got demons. I mean, it's just a cardinal sin, and they shouldn't be allowed to do it. But again, you know as well as I do, the paranormal's open to all these people, and it's not really policed at all, is it? You know, there are organizations like the SPR or ASAP that do kind of you know, put work or investigations your kind of way if you've gone through their protocols of investigating, but it's a bit of a free-for-all out there, isn't it? And I've really seen some horrible kind of stories that I've heard. I really have.
Have you seen some that they do live feeds from the people's houses?
I tend not to do as much social media as possible, Neil, just for obvious reasons. But I have seen it. Yeah, I mean, I do. I look at it as a person when I started in the early 90s, where there was no internet, and for me, still doing it today, I've seen a huge kind of spike and you know, incline into all these new groups and investigators that should pop up. And it's quite scary, really, because, you know, they're going into people's homes, you know, and the people who invite these people in don't really necessarily all understand what should go on before you should even set foot in anyone's house. You need to collate a diary of people. You need to interview them. You know, even before comprehending going to the property itself. But again, people are too quick. They just dive in with a flashing K2s, and they do a lot more damage than good, really.
Yeah, I know exactly what. And also, mediums have got a lot of responsibility. I know we had a lady come to the centre quite a while ago, didn't we, Jane? And she was quite disturbed.
Right.
Not disturbed in the head, disturbed about. She'd had this local medium in to do a reading for her brother, I think it was.
Okay.
So this medium did a reading for her brother, and as he was leaving, walking out the house, he says, "You've got an attachment, but I can't do anything now. I've got to go." And left her.
Oh God! I mean, again,
so she came to the centre quite concerned.
Yeah, I bet.
Fortunately, Jane was at the centre at the time, so you sorted it, didn't you, Jane?
Yeah, I did. But I think there's still, there's a lot of mediums out there who class themselves as mediums. We've all seen it where they've gone and they join a team because they're interested, and then they do an investigation, and a couple of investigations later, they're a full-blown medium. And somebody's told them they've got a gift, and it just mind boggles sometimes how I mean, I trained for years and years and years and years, and even now I'm still learning, and it just amazes me how people can just do a couple of investigations and and then they just say, well, I'm a medium, this, that and the other. And I a couple of times I said, wow, wow, because last time I seen you were just joining the team and you weren't a medium.
It's not even that nowadays. You can actually buy these online courses that certify you as a professional ghost hunter.
Yeah.
Or an expert at mediumistic powers. It's incredible, isn't it? And again, this is that kind of internet thing where that was never a thing back in the late 90s. It was all about meeting up at the local pub, discussing about local cases and sharing ideology. That's predominantly all it was. But times have changed massively.
Yeah, let's put some more comments up. Anne says, I think this is about Glastonbury. Being there, very happy. Good pub there.
Good pub there. Well, I must look into that one then.
Amy says, I have a lot pick. I'll get you in there, Tom. That's Greyfriars. That's Greyfriars.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah, I'm sure she would do that as well. Tinker.
One says, that's madness, that drive. Prague is beautiful. We did a city ghost on there, but it was more historical than spooky.
Hysterical.
I think it's historical.
Hysterical. Okay. That's a good one. Could go either way with that one.
Could go either way.
Yeah.
Here's another one for you, Tom. I know your reaction to this one. How do they know it's demonic?
Exactly. How do we know anything here? I mean, there's evil people that roam the planet in the physical sense, so there's no reason why we get bad energies as well. But the whole demonic side of things is stemmed from religion.
Yeah.
But if people want to believe that, then that's perfectly fine.
Yeah. Colette says, I want to investigate the centre next year when this damn COVID is over.
Yeah. I've got a question for everybody, actually.
Oh, go on then.
When all this is over, and I know, Neil, you've got the centre, but what's going to be the first kind of instinct to do, or a place to go outside from the centre, as it were, to do with, the paranormal? Is there somewhere that you think, oh God, I've been desperate to get to that place and I've not been able to do it this year, but I'm definitely going to go after this all finished?
Well, if you're asking me and Jane, we've got plans for next year.
Plans.
I don't know nothing about this.
No one knows.
No. There you go.
You're a medium.
There's me.
Like
I'll get it framed.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, me and Jane have known each other for many years for doing venues and investigations even before the centre. But when the centre started, we had this plan to investigate different locations. We're not saying where or what they are, because people are just copying everything at the minute. It's annoying the hell out of me at the minute, I must admit, but never mind. So Jane and I, as soon as the COVID is finished and Jane can get back out, we are investigating different areas in a different way.
Excellent. That sounds good. Yeah.
They are going to be back to basics, like you like as well, Tom. Yeah. Obviously, we are using a medium, Jane, and they're going to be different, aren't they, Jane? And that's all we can say at the minute.
Well, this has been on the back burner for about 2 years, and we've you know, it's only just sort of now, really. I think in the new year we're going to be in a position to do it, but it's so exciting. I can't wait. I want to get out of the house.
You just want to go down the bottom of the garden and then me, though, don't you, Jay? No, but plus I want us to spend more time at the centre, because after the first lockdown, obviously I had to recuperate all the money to keep the centre going from teams that had been postponing. Right. So I was having teams in every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Next year I'm not going to, because we're not doing what we want to do.
Yeah.
So I am going to limit to the nights the teams can come in next year, so we can do stuff up there as well.
Yeah.
But we're very excited to do this new project as well, aren't we?
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Lots of good stuff.
Okay, let's get some more comments. William says, I started my venture about 35 years ago.
There you go. So I bet William's seen a massive kind of change from my snapshot. You know, that's incredible.
Irene says, hi from Tokyo, Japan. And World of Ghosts. Thank you for tuning in. This is a private joke between us. I don't know who said it. Not to mention coffee jars.
Okay.
You don't know that story, do you, Tom?
No.
I'll private message you that one, man.
All right.
I'll private message you after the show. You'll like it.
Not past the watershed. Is that why? Or?
No, because yeah, I'll message you later. Irene says, I'm not a medium, but I hear spirits talk and they speak to me in my ears. I feel them and hear them talking. It's like a whisper. I think that's a bit more for your part, isn't it, Jane's answer?
Yeah. Well, everybody has different abilities and everybody starts, you know, in a different way. And, you know, you always hear lots of people saying, oh, I've got the gift. And it's not a gift. You know, we all have the ability to do it. It's just how much you work on it and how much you want to, you know, participate with it and you know, progress it. So, you know, it's good if you've got it, you know, if it's already started working, then keep working with it.
Yeah. Another comment from Irene. Where equipment doesn't work, I help the investigators and tell them what they can't pick up. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Sarah says, I would never claim to be something I'm not. When conducting a private investigation, I always get the owners to keep a diary for a couple of months or more. And if I feel I need advice from someone in the field, I ask for it.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, that's the best way, really, isn't it? Don't pretend that you know something, because that's when you're going to come unstuck.
Yeah.
Okay, these are some of the locations. William says he wants to go to Shepton Mallet Prison.
Yeah.
Von says, I've got lots of plans. Have you got a week?
Salutation in, yeah. Good place. Yeah.
I've never been.
It's a good one.
Okay, then. Tasha says, after COVID, Drakelow or the Queen Mary?
Ooh, that's... Yeah, Drakelow again for me. I've never been, but always wanted to go.
Chris says, I would love to go back and do the Boston glider drone.
Yes, that I have done. Probably 9 years ago. The Gliderdrome in Boston actually was one of the biggest music venues in I think the early 60s or 70s, where a lot of artists performed. And there's now, I think it's just like a bingo place now, but it's a very strange building. It's a very strange place. Yeah, that's a cool location. Wow.
Okay. Colette says, I'm going to the States to do some investigations there at some famous places and see what all the fuss is about. I was supposed to go in September, but had to cancel. Hopefully next September.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Gary says, oh, please tell, it's a good one. He knows what the coffee jar is.
Right, okay.
There's William again. William says, Ghostwatch was made up, I think.
Yes, it was.
Yes, it was. It wasn't real. Once she's going to Alcatraz. I think that's everyone wants to go there, don't they?
Definitely.
Sarah says, never been to Drakelow. Definitely going to look into it once the virus has done one.
Yeah. Definitely.
So yeah, we've got a few minutes. I'll tell you the story of the ghost jar, the coffee jar.
All right, okay.
I'm not going to mention any names. And William says he's going to go to the Ram Inn, the ancient Ram. This coffee jar, this person we know who's supposed to be a medium, went to a friend's house, and apparently this friend of ours had a creature attached to her.
Okay.
So he kept phoning me, asking me for advice, and he bottled this creature up in this coffee jar.
What?
Sealed it in wax.
Right.
And brought it up. And there was liquid in the jar. So basically the liquid was his, and the way he got this creature into the coffee jar was sort of spitting it out of his mouth into the coffee jar.
Right. I don't like where this is going.
And so we got this coffee jar, and there was liquid in the bottom. So I thought, okay. And I said to him, what's this liquid? He said, it weren't there when we came. I said, okay then. So I gave it to Jane, and Jane says, all Jane could pick up was this person's energy.
Right.
So it was basically his spit in the bottom of the coffee jar. Demonic spit.
Okay, wow. Okay. Wow.
Right, let's move on.
You know, I've got my tea after this show, yeah?
But don't have a cup of coffee.
Oh, dear. Oh. Wow. I'm lost for words.
Yeah. Some crazy stuff going on.
I've missed some comments, but we're nearly up. Sarah says, oh, and you really got me interested in Mr. Crowley. Now I've been tracking places he had connections with, so maybe I will pursue that in 2021. Mm-hmm. That's Alistair Crowley. For some reason, we got a connection with Alistair Crowley at the centre. So it's getting people to research Alistair Crowley, which I think is interesting. Yeah. I think people should research people.
Definitely.
Gary says, me and Steph are hoping to do a full night again at HAPRC. Biff says, frothy coffee.
Right.
I'm glad I don't drink coffee. Okay, William says, strange but true. Can you remember the program, Strange but True?
Yeah.
That was awesome, wasn't it?
It was so good. Was it Michael Aspel?
Yeah.
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 I actually got given a case book of Strange but True cases, and in that was a very good write-up on the Enfield haunting.
Yeah.
She's still in the bookshelf somewhere. Yeah, brilliant program. They don't make them like that anymore.
I'm just going to put this. This is my favourite comment of the night.
Oh God!
Frothy coffee will never.
Well, I've just got a quick question for Tom before we finish, because I was going to ask it earlier. But going back to the old school stuff, and when we're talking about technology, I'll try and make it quick. So when we say about, you know, we never seem to be able to get any evidence, and we're not going to be able to get really any positive or definitive evidence without the tech and the science. So do you think we'll ever be in a position where the technology will be of such a standard where we will be able to find or capture evidence that will be, you know, undisputed in the science world?
I think it depends on what you're trying to gain as evidence, first and foremost. I think a lot of the instruments, if used correctly, can be presented in such a way where it would give us an indication of what's actually happening. It's difficult, isn't it? I can't see. I mean, some of the stuff that I see online and stuff with what people are buying, I just think, what the heck are they doing? You know, what is it actually measuring? I mean, it's great on public events. Everyone loves the flashing lights and loves looking at things, you know. But I don't know. Are we going in the correct forward motion that we should be doing? I'm not so sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just interesting if we'd ever get that technology, but you know, I think your heart's got to be in the right place, and you know, you, what drives me is finding the truth, finding the truth in, you know, working with spirit, or you know, seeing ghosts or whatever it is, and it's finding that truth and being able to, you know, document all that for yourself, for your own progression, for your own journey. And I think sometimes people who just come into the paranormal don't necessarily have that passion or that understanding of what they're trying to achieve. No,
that's a very good comment.
Okay, last few comments because we're running over.
Oh, right, sorry.
Probably my fault.
It's great. It's great. I love it when we run out of time. It means we've been talking and it's interesting all the way through. William says you need experience. Technology will never provide that. You are talking about people's beliefs.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Emma Dean says, "Pop the kettle on." She obviously wants a frothy coffee.
She wants a frothy frappuccino.
Anne says, "Have you got a book?"
Yes,
Tom?
yes. It's on Amazon. It's Looking for Ghosts: Secret of Truth. You can get it on paperback and Kindle.
Yep.
There you go.
Okay. Last few comments. Chris says, as much as I love old school investigating, but some of this equipment like EVP recorders, etc., is fantastic. Abla says would go to the centre every week if she could do the stairs. Final comment tonight to Biff on YouTube. You get almost brainwashed when you start thinking you need all these gadgets. We had a list, yet we bought nothing, sticking to our senses. That is very true.
Good. Yeah,
it's very true. Unfortunately, the TV has a lot to play in all these gadgets, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Definitely.
So, anyway, it's 3 minutes past 9. Would you believe?
Wow,
it's been great. We'll have to have you on again on one Monday, Tom.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed it. It's nice to kind of catch up with you guys. It's been the questions tonight have been fantastic.
Yeah, it's been great having you on.
The frothy coffee moment was a bit of a downside.
I do hope when you're going to have your tea, you haven't got a frothy coffee waiting for you.
I tell you, that'll be going straight down the sink if it is. Yeah. Oh goodness me.
Anyway,
thanks guys. Thank you.
Thanks very much for joining us. It's been great catching up with you. Thanks everyone for watching and commenting.
Yeah,
it's been lovely. Don't forget, Jane and I are back on tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. And tomorrow we'll be talking about what happened last Saturday when we did our live from the centre. And we'll be talking about what we're doing next Saturday, because we're going to do another live next Saturday. So, and these lives are entertainment. They're not out there to catch evidence. They're more entertainment for you to enjoy, because you're all missing
in lockdown.
Yeah.
I must admit, we're kind of lucky because it's my place of work, so I am allowed to go. Says mine. So thanks for watching, and join us again tomorrow night. So we'll see you tomorrow.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
thanks, Tom.
Bye-bye. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.
Was asleep.